This package has been sitting here for I don't know how long, and let's just say I can't return it anymore, so I hope it's not broken. Inside this box is a gaming computer that I bought on eBay. Now the box is kind of weak, so who knows if it survived. There's also a little hole right here, and I put this fragile sticker so you can't see, but they paid $106 for shipping. They made like no money after the fees from eBay. Also, we got another little hole right there. But let's get this thing opened up, see if it was worth the price I paid, and also see how much it would cost to build something similar if I wanted to build it myself, and see how good the value is. That packaging, man, was so weak. Okay, we can see the computer and all that open space right there. So one good thing, I'm noticing the glass isn't shattered. There we go, we have the first look at the computer. Another thing I'm noticing is the dust in that power supply, and also we're missing one of the case feet. We only have 3. That kind of sucks. Around the back, we do have onboard Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. And I don't know if the camera is picking this up, but this thing is all bent out of whack, yo. And man, this thing is dusty. Look at this, yo, just, oh, no case feet. Oh, that's funny. Before we see if this thing works, let's take it outside and give it a good blow. Computer's back inside. Now when we turn it on, we won't have hair and ball dust flying everywhere. Taking a closer look, it looks like an abs pre-built, so I wonder if the person who built it has a 6-pack. Before we see if this thing works, I want to give you some more details on it. Like, where did I find the deal? Well, someone in my Discord server posted it up, and funny enough, they tagged 2 members. I wasn't tagged, but I was the one who bought it. And one of the guys that was tagged, he got mad, but then he said he was joking when I called him out, but he's probably happy he didn't buy it since, yeah, it's kind of messed up. But anyways, shout out to the person who posted the deal. Plug in the juice. Can't forget this. And from this angle, it looks like the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Definitely can't forget this. Moment of truth. Okay. That's a good sign. That's not the best sign. And those fans are spinning. Oh, we got a post. Oh yeah. And it might be loading into Windows or something. There we go. It does have a fresh install of Windows. It looks like Windows 10? It is Windows 10. Let's go ahead and install Windows 11 really quick. Plugging in this thumb drive with the Windows 11 media on it. And now what we're gonna do from here is just shut down the computer, turn it back on. Now all the RGB fans are spinning. And then you press delete to get into the BIOS. There we go. Want to navigate over to the boot page, boot option 1, and then select the thumb drive that you just plugged in, save and exit. And if you did everything correctly, it should load right to this page. Then you can just click through as normal. What? Doesn't meet the requirements. What? Okay, secure boot probably isn't enabled. So we're gonna close this, then we're gonna go back into the BIOS. So it's still saying it doesn't meet the requirements. I'm thinking the BIOS isn't up to date. I'm on my main computer and I'm just gonna search up the BIOS. I found my version, F2, September 2020. Yeah, it definitely doesn't support Windows 11. We're just gonna download the latest. And there we go, there's our file. Are you sure? Yes. And then you pray it doesn't blow up. Bam Shazam, installing Windows 11 after a little bit of trouble. I just got done poking around the task manager, verifying all the specs, and this is actually a lot better than I was expecting. Let's start with the bad. The obvious, the case is like broken and it was pretty dusty. And the CPU cooler is terrible. But now for the good, we have a really solid power supply, EVGA 600GD unit, and we got a free CPU upgrade. Now reading the description from eBay, we can see that the seller provided some basic specs. They said Core i5 10th gen processor with RTX 2060 and 16 gigabytes of RAM. Now all those specs are right, but the CPU is actually an i7-10700F. W baby. And I only paid $285. But how much would it cost to build something similar? The CPU used is about 130 bucks, the motherboard $60, RAM around $40, SSD $35, the GPU about 120, power supply $60, and a similar case with RGB fans and tempered glass about 70 bucks. So if I wanted to build something similar, it would be around $550, $510, depending on the deals you find. But I would say I got a pretty good deal on it. But now let's install some games and see how this thing performs. For testing, I started with Fortnite, and just in the lobby, not even the actual game, our CPU was damn near dying, so I was right. I'm guessing the CPU will be overheating. I shut the computer down and worked on swapping out the cooler. I got the cooler off, but I kind of broke it in the process. But look how terrible that cooler is, trying to cool an i7-10700F. I'm gonna be swapping it out with this good old Hyper 212 Spectrum V3. This will be a lot better. Anyways, back in Fortnite, it runs a lot better. You can see the stats in the top left. For the settings, it was at 1080p, DirectX 12, 100% 3D res scale, TAA, and all the settings on low. To be honest, I expected better performance considering the CPU, but if you look at the RAM usage, it's pretty much at 16 gigabytes, and Windows is probably using the rest of it. And looking back at the footage, I guess I had Nanite virtualized geometry turned on, which probably doesn't help, but our average FPS was 102 with a 1% low of 49. Now I wanted to see if performance mode would boost our FPS. I switched over and was using all low settings, basically the same as before, but now the average FPS was looking a bit better at 165. 1% lows still remained the same though. One thing to note is this newest update could be why the 1% lows are bad, but let's not forget we are on a budget PC. In Call of Duty Black Ops 6, I tested with a mix of settings, high texture resolution, and high detail quality, but everything else was set to low or normal, and DLSS was set to balance. The gameplay was alright, it could have been smoother, but keep in mind, the RTX 2060 only has 6 gigs of video memory. Yeah, and people say 8 is not enough. If we look back at the settings tab, it shows us that it's almost maxed out. So with the PC, it's a mix of our GPU and RAM holding us back. After a full match, the average FPS was 91 with a 1% low of 39. Now in Marvel Rivals, DLSS was set to balance and I used a high preset at 1080p. We had no troubles running this game, but again, the RAM and VRAM usage are hindering the performance. Our average FPS was 72 with a 1% low of 42. Keep it up the twos in Helldivers 2, I selected the high settings preset and set the render scale to balanced. And after blasting some bugs down and getting slaughtered myself, the average FPS was right at 60 with a 1% low of 40. In Cyberpunk, I was curious how this PC would hold up against some AAA titles. For the settings, I selected the high preset and left it as is. We averaged 64 FPS and the 1% low was 37. Good job, little RTX 2060. You can still do something. In Red Dead Redemption 2, I just ran the in-game benchmark and I had all the settings at high or ultra with DLSS set to balanced. The game ran very smooth. It is older, pretty optimized, and yes, our average FPS was hovering under 60, right at 56 with a 1% low of 45. The leaning PC was trying its best. And before testing all these games, I manually set the RAM to run at 2933 MHz so we could squeeze the best performance out of this computer. I tried the XMP profile, but it was stuck in a boot loop. I'm pretty happy with this deal. Performance could have been better, but you know, you can say that about everything, and at least it wasn't terrible. Now yes, the case is scuffed, the CPU cooler was quite bad, and the RAM and VRAM amount do pose some performance problems, but But all in all, this was great value for the price I paid. Leave your thoughts on this computer below, smash like if you enjoyed the video, and if we get at least 69 likes, I'll make another video where we upgrade this and get even more performance. That's it from me. Subscribe if you want, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.